I love this story, I love this movie, I love everything about this. So I just could not see me not reading this book this Christmas. So look at it, it's so pretty. This is like the original like print. Not like the original, but like it's like the older style. Can we please? Thank you. I love this. Oh my god. I feel like this is super quiet for some reason. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. I can't see it now. Okay. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his... I can't read it. I'm trying to read it backwards so you guys can see. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. That version of the Grinch is terrifying. But whatever the reason, be his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchy frown at a warm lighted window below their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath, and they're hanging their stockings. He snarled with a sneer, "Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here." Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, "I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming." For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then, oh, the noise, noise. That's the one thing he hated, the noise. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding and a rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, with the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand with the Who's started singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, "I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how?" And then he got an idea. Grinch said, "Giddy up," and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. Their windows all dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, as he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist." Look how small he looks up here. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He stuck only once, for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Look at all of them sleeping right there. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present: pop guns and bicycles, rollerblades, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. Then he stuffed them in his bags, and the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he clunk into the icebox. Then he took the Who's feast. He took the Who puddings. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Not the Who hash. That's so rude. He stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. "And now," grinned the Grinch, "I will snuff up the tree." I'm still baffled, by the way. Hobby Lobby sold one of these this year, and it was like multiple hundreds of dollars. I was like, what are we doing here? And the Grinch grabbed the tree, and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like a coo from a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was no more than 2. The Grinch has been caught by his tiny Who daughter, by this tiny Who daughter, who'd gotten out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? Look how little she looks in this picture. That's crazy." You know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," said the fake Santa Claus, lied. "There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here." His fib fooled the child, and he patted her on her head. He got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. And the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls left nothing but hooks and some wire. And that one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. Look, they even have like multiple different mice in there. It was dawn. All the Who's still in bed. All the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up one side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tippy top to dump it. Pooh, pooh to the Who's was the Grinchly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or So he paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low, then it started to grow. Look at Max. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Look at them. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he, look, you can see Whoville down here. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. And there's Cindy Lou right there. And that's it. There's Mr. Dr. Seuss himself, who wrote this very merry book. I want to read the back because I think the back's kind of funny. Did he do it? Did the Grinch really steal Christmas? Or does Christmas perhaps mean a little bit more? Celebrate the true meaning of the holidays with this beloved classic. Your heart will grow just like the Grinch's. I think, like everybody, that book is so fun. And of course, there have been so many different adaptations of it that have been made to movies and stuff. And genuinely, I like pretty much all of them. The real live action one does kind of freak me out a little bit, but I do like all of the Grinches. I think they're really cool. So, I'm gonna leave you with this. Thank you for reading How the Grinch Stole Christmas with me. I hope you have enjoyed this, even though this video is a little bit shorter than my average video that you normally receive.